Today I want to talk to you about the toxicity of negative friendships. Let me tell you about my friend Lee. Lee was the kind of friend who always had a crisis. Always. If it wasn't her job, it was her ex, and if it wasn't her ex, it was her third existential crisis this month. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all about being a supportive friend. But after every lunch, coffee date, or even late night venting session, I felt emotionally drained and wrung out and just vaguely guilty. And over time, it took my energy to really accept an invitation to even meet up anymore. I wasn't looking forward to it at all, and I would spend time thinking of ways of getting out of going. You might ask why. It's because Lee is a very self-consumed and person who loves drama. Most of the time, I don't even get a word in edgewise, and the conversations never lead to anything that's going on in my life. So I think of friendship as most friends know a lot about each other, right? There's that conversation in both directions, as it should be, and a mutual sharing and a mutually supportive experience, right? Sound familiar? We've all had those Lees in our lives. A friendship that drains more than it really fulfills us. And it's the kind that starts with good intentions, but slowly morphs into this emotional sinkhole. And the truth is that these kinds of friendships aren't just unpleasant, they can become very toxic and scientifically proven to be bad for your health. I always need to have the science spin to these conversations, right? So toxic friendships are more than just drama. Studies show that toxic relationships, they increase your stress level, and chronic stress in turn increases your risk of heart disease. It weakens your immune system, and it can even shorten your lifespan, which none of us want that, right? So in one UCLA study, researchers found that negative social interactions, they can actually spike inflammation levels in the body, which are linked to everything from depression to cancer. That's pretty scary, right? And get this, a 20-year longitudinal study from the University of Michigan found that having a high number of negative social ties, it increases the risk of death by 26%. Who would have thought, right? Yes, 26%. So no, your energy vampires, your energy vampire friends, they're not just a lot. They might actually be hurting your health, believe it or not. So what are the sneaky signs of a toxic friendship? You might be wondering, but what if my friend's just having a tough time? We all go through those things, right? Fair question. But here's how to spot the difference between a struggling friend and a toxic one. First, you always personally feel drained after any interactions with them. Second spot is they criticize or they belittle you, often subtly. So they'll say things like, just being honest, but you can feel the gaslighting coming. The third spot is your needs are always on the sideline. It's always all about them. The fourth is they gossip constantly, often about other friends. And while it might be fun in the moment to be involved in those conversations, guess who's next? It's you. And she or he, they're probably gossiping about you to someone else in their life. So when they gossip, you're probably not left out in one way, shape, or form. And the fifth spot is they compete with you, but they never truly celebrate your wins. They're never the ones that are really deep and wholeheartedly, congratulatory of your wins. So if more than a couple of these resonate, it's time to do the vibe check and take a look at that friendship. So when things are far from amazing, why does letting go feel so hard? It's like being in a bad romantic relationship too, right? Sometimes we love them but hate them all at the same time. And we're conditioned to believe that friendships should last forever. Think about it. How many friendship bracelets, yearbook scribbles, and BFF promises have you collected over the years, especially when you were young and in school, right? But here's the reality check. Friendships, like seasons, they somehow and sometimes, they just serve a purpose and then they end and move on. It's okay to outgrow people. In fact, it's actually healthy. And yet, many of us stay stuck in these emotionally imbalanced relationships, mostly out of guilt, obligation, or fear of being alone. But staying in a toxic friendship, it won't make you less lonely. It'll just make you lonelier, but with some company. So letting go is important, and it's important to do it guilt-free. You can't put that guilt on your back because that's just something negative you're carrying around. So here's your permission slip to let go with grace, boundaries, and maybe a little sass. Here's how. One of the things you're going to want to try is to pause and reflect. So ask yourself how this friendship actually makes you feel. Honestly. Keep a friendship journal if you need to for a week or so, just to get that clarity. You're going to also want to have the conversation, or maybe not. So not every friend requires closure. Sometimes it's okay to just drift away instead of being confrontational. You might want to also set some boundaries. If you're not ready to cut ties, maybe try limiting how often you see or you talk to them, and just watch how you feel and see how that's going. Sometimes taking small steps, it doesn't have to be drastic, but taking small steps, and then either they fade out, you fade out, or maybe you have to have a conversation in the end, but sometimes I think it's easier to start slow. And find your people. Research shows that having just 1 or 2 close, supportive friendships can massively improve your well-being. So find those people that are your people, the people that you trust, the people that you know will have your back no matter what happens, and you know who they are. And they've probably been maybe your friends for a long time or somebody that you met not that long ago, but just seem to have that connection. And remember, you deserve peace. Real friends don't leave you feeling small. They want you to expand and be the best that you can be for yourself. So one last story and maybe a little pep talk here is when I finally stopped reaching out to Lee, something amazing happened. I started getting back my energy. My weekends felt lighter. I reconnected with the people who actually make me laugh and have fun. And not once did I regret creating space. So letting go of toxic friendships, it isn't an act of cruelty. It's an act of courage and self-respect that you deserve. So here's your nudge. You're allowed to choose peace. You are allowed to grow, and you're allowed to also let go. So let's recap. Toxic friendships increase stress, inflammation, and even shorten your life. Look out for the signs like constant drama, one-sided support, or subtle put-downs. Letting go may feel hard, but it is necessary, and it's a necessary step in protecting your mental and your physical health. And you deserve friendships that uplift, not drain, and make you smile and laugh once in a while. So now it's your turn. Have you ever had to let go of a friendship? What helped you through it? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. So if you found this content valuable, please consider sharing. Please consider subscribing. With love and strong boundaries, we will see you all in the next video.